The polynomial g of x, we want to know what the leading term of it is. And again, since it's not multiplied out, we're going to kind of multiply it out, sort of. We're not going to fully FOIL the thing out, but just multiply out the leading terms in each of the factors. So if I multiplied an x squared times an x to the 1 times an x to the 1, the biggest powered term is going to be 1x to the 4th. And that's going to be my leading term. Maximum number of zeros is the degree of the polynomial. So I would have at most 4 zeros. The maximum number of turning points in that function is always 1 less than the maximum number of zeros. So it's always minus 1 of whatever that number is. Then to find the zeros, you set each factor equal to 0, solve for x. So we're going to get x equals 0 is one of the zeros. It has a multiplicity of 2. So the behavior of that 0, or at that 0, is going to be a touch and turn, since it's an even multiplicity. All right, our next factor, x plus 1, set that equal to 0, solve for x, and that number then is the 0, or the x-intercept of that function. Its multiplicity, the power on that was just 1. Because it's an odd multiplicity, the behavior then is going to cross through that x-intercept. Right, do the same thing for the last one there. X minus 3 equals 0, so x equals 3 is our 0. It has a multiplicity of 1. Again, the power on that factor is 1. And then that's also going to cross through. Keep in mind that when you add the multiplicities up, that should be the degree of the polynomial, or the maximum number of zeros that you're going to get. The end behavior, because it's an x to the 4th, you can think about what does y equals x to the 4th look like. And because it's an even degree polynomial, and because there's a positive 1 in front, both ends are going to be up. If you forget, you can always type in y equals x to the 4th into your calculator and take a look at what the ends are doing. The y-intercept, you have to let x equal 0 and then solve for y. So go back to the original, plug in zeros for x's, and I'm going to get y equals 0 squared times 0 plus 1 times 0 minus 3. So 0 times 1 times negative 3. Well, it doesn't really matter what's going on here because 0 times anything is going to be 0. So it has a y-intercept at 0, 0. And then sketch the graph. So again, this is going to be a really rough sketch. All right, I put down my intercepts. So I had 1 at 0, negative 1, and positive 3. I know both ends are up. And then start looking at what happened at negative 1. At negative 1, you tell me that it's crossing through that intercept. So it cuts through. Then it's eventually going to have to come back up here to 0 and touch that. And it's going to do a touch and turn. So it's not going to come up through here. It's going to touch it, turn around, come back down. Now, I don't know how low it's going to go, but eventually it's got to come back up and hit there, and it's going to cross through, like we said here, at 3. So it's some weird W-shaped type thing. If you want a more exact answer, you'd have to plot more points, but we're just looking for a rough sketch, and this is good enough.